and welcome back to our life. And I'm Twilight.
And I'm KG.
So yeah, we're finally at the
yeah.
last part of the episode. I mean, the last part. And I don't know what we're gonna do.
We're at the last part of. We're at the last moment.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we mean.
Yeah.
So we have our last one, which is Roadtrip, and it's a base. And let's just get into it. Even though you were awake, the sun had barely peeked its head above the horizon, and the sky above was still dark, still lighting by the minute. Usually you wouldn't be up so early, especially during the summer vacation, but today was different. Today, instead of lazy days you were used to, everything around you was in a flurry of activity as both your family and coach prepared for what laid ahead. Because parked in the street just outside your house was a massive RV camper so big you couldn't even see Cove's house behind it. His parents had rented an RV for a few days to take him out on a short road trip to see Redwood National Park. He glanced at Cove, who was standing nearby taking in the scene in front of him. The prospect of a trip had mixed bag for him, but it was only for 3 days, so it seemed he was willing to deal with it as best he could, especially now that you and your family were joining them. You weren't sure how it exactly happened. You knew your parents and Cove spoke to each other often. Somewhere along the way, plans were made, and after Cliff offered to share the space. The parents all thought it was a fantastic idea. You had already gotten a good look inside while helping load everything in, and you had to admit, while it was a really big car, fitting that many people inside wasn't going to be snug.
Let's go!
Move it or lose it, kiddo.
Mom bustled past with a cooler in one hand and a large water bottle in the other. She was upbeat for this early morning. Ma, however, seemed to be on the other side of the wavelength. She followed behind her wife, dragging her feet on every step. Aw, Ma looks so cute.
She's
that little
adorable.
robe. I'm gonna need a whole jug of coffee once we hit the road.
You could relate to Ma. It was way too early. Personally, you are as raring to go as your mom. You felt like you were in the middle ground between the two.
It's weird, but I feel like I would be in the middle. Because the reason why is because I have like stayed up to the point where it's like it should be the point where I would be waking up at that time, but you know. But yeah, I feel like I would be in the middle. Yep. You just tried to keep up and took in some deep breaths. The air was still a little damp from dew, but you didn't mind it. And then at the end of the chain, came your sister. She had a bone to pick before the trip officially started. Her rattling of critics added some level of normalcy to everything new going on.
Ugh.
Am I Elizabeth? Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, you're Elizabeth.
I don't get why I can't sleep in the bed tonight. Sheena's the youngest, and I never fall asleep in that loft. We're trying to make things fair on everyone. If you want to play the older card, you should be offering to take the loft on both nights. It's important for big siblings to sacrifice for their younger ones. Elizabeth huffed, not happy with the answer in the slightest, and folded her arms, leaning back against the side of the RV. The trip plans had been nailed down to prior, the sleeping arrangement included. Elizabeth still held on to her objections with them. There was the main area of RV with a couch, loft, and some floor space. At the end of the car was a room with a large bed. Your moms were sharing the bed. Kyra was on the couch, and your father and son were attended to sleep on the floor. I said your father, and I'm like, oh,
what?
Wrong.
We have a father?
No,
When?
I said by accident. Okay. The adults determined you and Elizabeth could switch between the small lofts above the driver's seat and sharing beds with Mom.
You were fine with the arrangements. You were excited to sleep in a loft. You felt sharing a bed with your parents was going to be awkward. You were looking forward to a sleepover with your moms. You weren't too happy either, but didn't want to make a fuss. You thought it was unfair that Cove had to sleep on the floor. Poor Cove.
Poor Cove. He's been sleeping on the floor.
Number 6.
Number 2, I think. Yeah, he's been sleeping on the floor. Oh yeah, when the third, because he like stayed in our room
Yeah.
when he wasn't supposed to
Oh,
in the
yeah.
night. But that was funny. Do you want to randomize it?
Yeah, sure. All
It
right.
is 6.
6. Three.
3.
Yep.
You felt sharing a bed with your parents was going to be awkward. You weren't a kid anymore, and yet you were going to have to sleep next to your moms. They assured you that they tried to give you space for one night, yet you had to share, but you were still not pleased.
All right, you lot. Does everyone have everything they need?
We're heading out in 5 minutes, and now's the time to double check. You don't want to forget something important. At the word, Elizabeth yelped and dashed back into the house, her bed head hair bouncing behind as she went. Ma came over and gave you a smile, seeing her hands on her hips. What about you, Sheena? Do you have all your clothes packed, toiletries, deodorant, floss, anything else you can think of?
You were confident you had it all. You weren't sure about that. Oh, you had to run back inside here for something. You just gave her a flat look. Oh, you forgot. You had to run and get something.
I feel like I would. I'm very confident. If it was me, I would be confident to have all
For me,
my stuff.
I would definitely not remember what I need, so I would run back and get it.
Do you want to randomize it?
Yes.
Let's see how this goes.
How many was that?
4.
Yeah. 1.
1.
Wait, what was that one?
You were confident you had it all.
All right.
Wanting to make sure everything was organized and ready to go, you had packed the night before and set your alarm too.
Yep, I'm good. And then I totally forgot what I needed.
That's great. We'll have to wait for the ones who weren't as organized, but we'll be heading off shortly. With a few minutes left to spare before leaving, you mentally went over what you had packed for the trip, clothes, a pillow and blanket, usual day-to-day gear for most people. You also had more personal things such as
a portable gaming console, pencils and paper, your favorite stuffed animal, a couple of things to read, a bag of makeup, a ball, your camera, an MP3 player with headphones, a pajama shirt Cove gave you. Aww. Definitely won't forget that.
Yeah, let's just click on it. He's like, let's click on the pajama shirt. Just because.
Click it.
Just click it. You wanted to have something comfortable and especially wear on the trip like this, and you wanted the Cove to know you were still using it.
MP3
okay, do you want to pick
never
one?
Forget that. Yes.
Oh,
MP3.
you want to? Yeah, same. I would also not forget that. With so much going on to spend in driving in a car, you wanted to make sure you'd be able to have some music to put on.
Your turn.
My favorite stuffed animal.
Oh, okay.
Without fail, it always made you feel more comfortable whenever you went somewhere new. I would do that until a certain point because I have a tendency to hug something while I'm asleep. So yeah.
Same. I would bring something like that too.
It was taking a little piece of home away with you.
I would game console, of course.
Yeah, that makes sense. The drive to Redwood Park would be an entire day, one way, so you can make sure you had a certain way to entertain yourself while traveling there and back.
For you now?
I feel like for me, I'm good.
Me, I think pencil and paper.
Okay.
Because, drawing and writing.
Yeah. You had to be prepared in case you saw something to sketch at the park, or if you want to write down anything or needed to pass the time just doodling.
A couple of things to read? Or wait, a camera, we need that.
Oh yeah. It was just a little pocket camera you had gotten from your mom's, but you couldn't miss an opportunity to take some new snaps.
I mean, we could bring a bag of makeup, but what's the point?
Yeah, you're going to hike. What are you trying to impress? The freaking
Cove,
but like Cove has seen us without makeup, so
I don't know.
I don't think it really matter.
Look pretty for him.
Thank God. Yeah, I don't care about the bag of makeup. So I think, is that it?
How about a couple of things to read? Okay. Nah, it's fine.
Nah.
No,
we're good.
Yeah.
Hey, let me take that for you, Sheena. I'll stow it in the RV. There's a few spots left that it'll fit. You let Kyra take your bag and gave her a grateful smile. Nothing left to do, you watched the others getting ready for the trip. Kyra and Cliff seemed to have most energy out of anyone. They were finishing packing the suitcases away while your moms had gone up to lock the house. They high-fived one another, got crammed into the storage compartments of the vehicle. Even though your parents were more low-key than Coves, you could tell they were both excited for the trip. It had been a while since your family had been away anywhere together. Elizabeth skipped towards the RV and bags slung over her shoulder, and you were surprised to see she's more optimistic about the whole ordeal now. Usually she wasn't one to exit the confines of her room unless it was for TV or food, or leave her family behind to be with friends. You would have thought 3 whole days packed in the RV with 6 others would be too much for her, but it was a nice surprise. You suppose any vacation was better than no vacation in her mind. Cove had been pretty quiet so far, and more than anything, he seemed to be overwhelmed by the situation.
You're excited for the trip too. You weren't very excited for the trip either. You were eager to get to the destination. You were curious about the RV. You didn't feel much either way about the plans. For me, I would be very curious about the RV.
Yeah, same.
It was like, ooh, what's in it?
You never stayed overnight in one before, and you wanted to know what it'd be like. Soon, miscellaneous remaining tasks have been all wrapped up. Everyone piled into the RV. It was officially time for the trip to start. It did. Cliff took the first shift driving. He cautiously navigated the massive car out of the narrow neighborhood streets. It was a touch and go for the first part of the journey. Your moms and Kyra were all huddled at the front trying to get a view on how much space they had on each side. There was a sense of relief that the first long leg of the trip was hit, and the RV would only need to go one stretch of highway for miles. The mom group cleared out of the driver's area, leaving Cove's dad to it, taking a more comfortable seat around the main cabin. They felt like you could relax now. Time slipped as morning faded away. Before you realized, the engine of the RV came to a stop but halted for a few moments as Cliff climbed out of the driver's seat and Mom took over. Mom was sitting shotgun, giving Mom a quick tutorial on the controls as it was her first time driving anything this large. Cliff groaned as he headed toward the rest of you, stretching his arms above his head and loosening up his muscles.
We're making good progress.
Really? Yeah, maybe you should take a nap in the back for a while. That was a long haul you just did, and I know you're on less sleep than usual. Cliff went ahead, and the trademark grin of his slipping into place.
Nah.
I don't need sleep. I've still got a few miles in the old tank.
He flexed an arm, showing off his muscles to drive off to the point of how resilient he was home, and Carol rolled her eyes in amusement. Dad, everyone has to sleep. Cove shook his head at the tough guy act, though Cove simply chuckled and ruffled his son's hair.
So?
Are you gonna be driving again anytime soon, Mr. Holden? I don't want to, I want to know so I can prepare. Did anyone pack rope? I might need it. There's no seatbelts up here. Elizabeth called from where she was lounging in the loft above the driving compartment. She was laying on her back, her hair falling over to the side and swinging around as the RV started up again and took off on the road. A bag of potato chips was balanced on Elizabeth's stomach, and she tossed a couple in her mouth right as Cliff held a hand to his chest, pretending to be offended by the remark. Kyra laughed lightheartedly.
Don't worry about that.
Lucky for us, we have enough adults to cover the shifts today. He won't be driving again until tomorrow.
You stayed quiet, you shook your head at the ribbing. Phew, that's a relief. Just enough time to write up my last will and testament. We shouldn't gang up on the poor guy. It's not his driving I'm worried about. The last one's funny.
Yeah. Randomize?
Yeah, sure. It could be anything.
Yep.
How many?
6.
Alright.
I'm just gonna stretch a bit because my arms are like stiff.
5.
5?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We shouldn't gang up on the poor guy.
Thank you. At least someone here is on my side.
Mom then shouted in the back of her seat to join the conversation, a playful smile tilting her lips.
What I'm more worried about is this old monster getting us there and back again before falling apart. It looks as though it was built in the early 90s. It must be older than some of the occupants.
That's just the aesthetic of the decor. It's not that old, I think. Did you ask what year the model was before you rented it? Kara wrinkled her nose at the thought.
Hey!
Yes, I did. I just can't remember what the answer was. Cliff chuckled at her while the rest of you let out a collective sigh. The RV lurched a little as it picked up speed, and you held onto the ladder or to the loft to keep your balance. You felt something graze the top of your head before a weight settling down on your black hair. When you tilted your chin up carefully to look, you heard a rustling of the bag of chips and realized Elizabeth had rested the end of it on your head. She gestured to the opening, sadly offering to share her snack.
You took a handful.
You're taking a handful.
Yes.
Yep. Reaching up, you scooped up some chips after the weight of the packet had left your scalp. You happily munched away as the conversation continued on and you got closer and closer to your destination. The day blew by with the group of you chatting, playing some games and passing time together before finally arriving at the park, setting up for the night. Ma was closing the windows while everyone got ready for bed, saying goodnight to others as she made her way to the back of the room. You had all had dinner together while still driving, and some hours after you had arrived at your destination, found a spot in the park to rest for the rest of your stay. Giving a look across from the RV, you noticed almost everyone there was already dozing off where they were, with Cove having completely fallen asleep curled up in the passenger seat. He must have done so while Kyra was driving the last leg, and they had decided not to disturb him. Kyra herself was the one who was still awake, flipping through a magazine next to a portable light from her spot on the couch. It seemed Mr. Holmes needed to sleep despite his claims. You followed your moms into the back of the room and closed the door behind you before crawling onto the bed between them. It was a queen-size bed, so there was enough space for the three of you without too much squishing.
Good night.
Get a good rest, Sheena. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow.
That's fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the bushwalk in the morning. It's been a long time since I was out in nature like this.
There will be plenty for us to see.
You stayed awake for a little while longer while your moms whispered about the park and the forest in general. With the sound of their voice in the background, eventually you nodded off to sleep. Next morning, you were up and bright and early preparing for the day ahead.
You had slept well. You had an okay sleep. You had slept terribly. I mean, I would be having a weird, horrible sleep.
I would be an okay sleeper. I
wouldn't be sleeping really well.
I would move a lot around if I'm not in my bed.
Yeah.
A lot. I also am a messy sleeper, so it doesn't help.
For me, I have a hard time sleeping, especially in new places. So I would be moving a lot and waking people up. That's me.
True. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. So I guess we slept terribly.
Yep.
There wasn't enough room for you to spread and readjust your position. The mattress was uncomfortable and it became hot when the two other people next to you. Mom whined about the firmness of the mattress, but Mom only encouraged her to enjoy the trip while she could. While looking for a spot to get ready, you had some trouble finding a space of your own as the others were doing the same. Cove was perched on top of the counter, brushing his hair and tucking up his legs every time someone wanted to move past. The parents were checking in and double-checking and triple-checking that you had everything to the point where you had stopped listening to them altogether. You know that you wouldn't be returning to RV at all that day, but by the look of the backpacks, they were packed and ready to go, but you doubted anything was missing from them. It didn't take much longer until you all exited the RV in a bustle and headed into the Redwood National Park.
Wow.
Cope had his head tilted upwards at the canopies of trees, his eyes as wide as he took in the massive trunks on either side of you. You knew that the redwood trees were considered the tallest trees on Earth, and you were prepared for exactly how huge they would be in person.
Come on.
Smile, you too. You spun just in time for Carrie to snap a picture of you and Cove together before she pointed her camera at Cliff, trying to get a shot despite weak protests that she should enjoy the moment. Your parents were walking behind in the group a little, while Mom was telling Ma some information she had read about the park in the brochure. Ma listened happily while looking around and taking in the sights every now and then, asking questions or making a joke about something Mom had said. You smiled at them, thinking your mom must have read a lot of pamphlets to know so much about the park. Maybe you should come and work here as a tour guide if you know so much about the place. Elizabeth teased, earning a squeeze on the nose from your mom. She seemed to be enjoying herself, but you thought that might just because she was amused by everyone else's reactions.
You were in awe of the redwood trees. You were fascinated by the sensations surrounding you. You were in a good mood. You weren't as impressed as the others. You were embarrassed that the adults were being so touristy. I guess we're gonna have to randomize it.
Yep.
5?
Yeah, 5.
3.
3? You were in a good mood. Okay. The air was fresh and clean, and it was nice to be outdoors with people you loved most. It was certain that this was the only beginning of what would be a great day. The adults had decided on some casual nature walks rather than any serious hiking. You strolled along at your own pace, taking in the scenery. Elizabeth sped off a little, smirking at Cove as she fell into place between the two of you, and immediately you could tell by her expression she was going to say something taunting.
Ah.
I can't believe our families are actually on vacation together. He threw her arms, speaking with genuine sense of bewilderment. I would have joked about something like this happening, but I'm not sure I want to give them any more ideas. Go smile at her, even though it was a little awkward, and continue walking along. Just walks. Next year, they'll be talking about their next new amazing idea. She put on a fake voice deeper than her own. We should sell both of our houses and move in together. Think about how much we'll save on the mortgage. It was clear that Elizabeth was sarcastic. Cove simply shook his head and not really bothered by her. You can suppose she was used to this by this point. But seriously, they act like we're like a single family just because we live across the street from each other. Elizabeth gave you and Cove a look, her eyes glinting with mischief as she leered you.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll be related, legally anyway. She said it as though she was a gossipy old lady, but almost immediately dropped the tone and nonchalantly said to her real thoughts. At least that's what Ma thinks. Cove still blushed, which made Elizabeth smile triumphantly as though her whole purpose was for teasing him. Then he mumbled quietly, refusing to make eye contact with either of you. I don't know why you think you're so funny when no one else does.
You told her to cut it out already? Cove has a point. It wasn't a great comment. I'll marry you, Cove. You ignored Elizabeth. You were embarrassed. I'll marry you, Cove.
God, same. I'll marry you, Cove. He looked at you in disbelief. He genuinely could not believe this is where the conversation had gone.
Don't worry about it. You can take as long as you need to think on that.
Cove frowned and reddened harder. He pretended to ignore what you were saying. Your sister noticed what was happening. Ooh, he isn't going to engage in this topic. He groaned at the continuation and teasing increase of the speed of his walk.
Pun.
The day continued on with plenty to see and experience. You passed a few different activities when you would have liked to try out if you had time, such as kayaking, rock climbing, but Ma said you would have to wait for another trip. There was a little stream during the walk, and you sat beside to set out a picnic for lunch. They wanted a selection of fruit sandwiches and chips. Various birds flew overhead, and you made a game of guessing of what species they were hanging out in the trees nearby. You managed to get a couple of them right, including a kingfisher that grabbed half of Cliff's sandwich.
You were glad you got to do this in the end. You were disappointed to only have one day in the park. You thought the long trip wasn't worth only one day here. You had more fun hanging out in the RV. You hadn't had a good time with this trip. Nah, that doesn't make sense. You were disappointed only one day in the park.
Yeah, same. I loved camping as much, and I would be disappointed if I had to stay there for like one day.
I never camped before, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's better to camp on multiple days rather than staying one day because it feels like
True.
it's pointless.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
supposed to escape from like, life and stuff,
I
or
guess
at least
so.
like a couple days. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I somewhat camped, but not really. It's just that we stayed at this weird cabin-like thing.
Oh, that's still considered.
Well, it's not
really camping, but at least
cabin-ish,
you're
it's kind
out
of
in
a
the
cabin, kind of.
nature.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyway.
I was like with a bunch of classmates, and we stayed at this weird warehouse cabin thingy, and then we had to put our like sleeping bags on the floor, and then we all had like each got to sleep in one room there. It was interesting. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I guess randomize, or do we just say, yeah, we're just disappointed? Just say that.
This is why
in
you
the
only had
park.
one day. Yep. There was so much to experience, and you felt like you needed a whole week or maybe even more to experience it all. You sighed quietly to yourself, wondering if you'd get that chance to come back. Your group made it back to the camp just as the sun was setting in the sky and the stars were appearing one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. You trading stories of what you thought while you were eating dinner, and afterwards you pitched in to help clean up. Along with Elizabeth and Cove, you got to head back into the RV early and spend some time together while parents stayed outside longer. It was nice to have a place to yourselves after a cramped journey there. While Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with her headphones, you and Cove were left in the main lounge area.
You headed up to the loft to relax on your own. You hung out with Cove.
We're hanging out with Cove.
Mm-hmm.
We're not. There's no question.
No question about it. We might as well get comfortable. Who knows how long they'll be out for?
You took a seat on the sofa while Cove sat down on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knee. Your cheeks warmed a little at that. Being close to him never failed to feel exciting. You'd have seen Cove nearby every day for the past 5 years, but seeing him in a jacket was still somewhat unusual in Southern California. He could get away with that. It was simply different from his normal style, yet you couldn't help noticing the way he looked right now. It looked great on him. In fact, Cove always looked nice. When Cove cleared his throat, your eyes snapped to his. He had eyebrow raised and clearly caught you staring at him.
What?
Is everything okay?
You averted your gaze from him entirely. Yeah, don't worry about it. That looks nice on you. Yeah, everything's really good. You nodded while saying nothing. That looks nice on you.
Yep, it looks nice on you. Cove immediately blushed at the unexpected compliment. What? He didn't say anything more than one word question. You decided to elaborate further.
You know, I hardly ever see you wearing a jacket, especially in summer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like wearing a few layers as possible. It's easier that way. I'd rather be cold than extra hot, and it's kind of pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket.
Yeah, that's true. I'd rather be cold than extra hot.
I don't know, I like jackets. Like, at least I like hoodies, for the most part.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't like summer. I'm the same way. I don't mind either. I mean, I like jackets. It's just that, I just don't like,
Wearing them in the
like being
summer.
hot. Yeah, I don't like it. I love
Yeah.
wearing layers. I love layers and accessories too. I don't know.
I
guess,
don't know.
I mean,
feel like
I would totally wear layers because, my type of clothing would be like that.
yeah, like I don't mind either way, is my personal thing.
Yeah.
I guess you're randomizing it.
randomizer.
Yeah.
How many
with
is it? Four?
4.
4.
4?
Yep.
Yeah. It's yours.
Oh yeah. That's probably why I have a closet almost filled to the brim at home.
Cove smiled slightly at you and nodded. I've noticed. He perked up hearing that. He noticed you too.
Yeah, ask him what he liked to see others wear.
So, I guess. Yeah, same.
Hey, what kind of things do you think are nice to see on another person?
Cope's eyes widened at the question, and his defense reply seemed to slip out of before he even had the chance to probably think about it. Nothing.
That was funny. You paid no mind.
I paid no mind.
Yeah.
No mind. Yeah. He still did, however. I didn't mean it like that, you know.
I know. Answer with what you do mean then. Isn't there anything at all you think looks good when you see it on someone?
Cope mumbled under his breath and he couldn't quite catch his words. He was having a difficult time with the subject.
It was a topic that made him uncomfortable, so you let it go. You had a little fun, and that was enough. You changed the subject. You're not very good at these conversations, are you? I swear I won't make fun of you. I just thought it would be fun to talk about. I swear I won't make fun of you. That's what I would say.
I swear I won't. Yeah, same. I swear I won't make fun of you. That's not really it. Cope seemed pretty grumpy about your statement, but you weren't ready to give up easily.
Please.
Cope sighed and looked down at his lap where he was fidgeting with his hand, still reluctant to give you an answer.
I don't know.
You made an unimpressed sound over how this was going.
Are you sure?
Fine, I guess. I kind of like ankle bracelets.
Ankle bracelets?
Yeah, everyone can wear a pretty bracelet. Wrist ones are cool too, but they're pretty normal. There's something fun or flirty about ankle bracelets.
I mean...
It's more special or something. I don't know how to explain it. Cope brushed his knuckles against his cheek, awkwardly and seemingly unsure where to go from here.
Thanks for answering. I like them too. Huh. Out of everything in the world, you picked that. So you think they're sexy?
I want to be polite and say thanks for answering. I don't want to tease him anymore. I'm like, I don't want to tease him anymore.
I would like to tease him a lot. It's like, I like them too.
So, okay, I like them
out
too.
Of everything in the world, you
Okay,
picked that.
I would like them too, because I actually do like anklets. In
Me,
real
I
life.
don't. Oh yeah, anklets
I
are
like
pretty
them.
cool, but I
Yeah.
don't think I would wear them though.
I'm
I'm
would
more
love
of
to
a
wear.
boot person.
I would love to wear them more. It's just that it's hard to find a good occasion to wear one. But yeah, I like them too. So
Yeah, I guess so.
Go smiled at you, happy to hear he wasn't the only one who felt that way. When he said nothing else, you took a moment to gather your own thoughts.
You had to get an anklet on ASAP.
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 Or just ASAP.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd wear your anklets more now. Maybe you wouldn't wear your anklets so often. Hey, you thought about buying an anklet of your own. You were happy to hear more about Cove, but it didn't really change anything. No, ASAP.
I think you would wear anklets more often.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. You had a couple different ones at home. With this new knowledge, you might slip them into your daily outfits in the future. Cove looked away again, feeling awkward about this. He gave him an understanding look, and usually he would start to smile or normal again, but not this time. His expression only stiffened more. You were quite surprised to see him like this, as he always bounced back pretty quickly after being flustered.
Oh?
He still wouldn't look at you, and now his breathing was growing tense. It began to click as he was trying to build himself enough to say something hard for him. He waited for it silently. Until finally he peeked your way through the corner of his eyes. You were fully attentive by this point, or whatever he was going to mention next.
That's,
People with red eyes. That's also something I like.
That's actually new. I never saw that before.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Huh?
Well, it's part of the whole like customization.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
just that it's new to me. I didn't see them.
Yeah. Okay. For a moment, you were stunned and at the complete loss for words. That was definitely not where you imagined this was going. Cove faced you head on, his expression full of desperation of meaning. You got the instant impression that he hadn't you just because you liked the color red. You just didn't tell it because it was your eye color.
Aww.
Was he trying to flirt with you? That was all you could think. Your legs felt like gel and you wondered if it might fall off the couch. What would you like for another person, Sheena?
Everything about you.
Everything.
Let's be straightforward.
Alright. Like, I would always go for blue eyes just because, like, he said something about my eyes, I say something about his eyes.
Everything about you.
Guess everything about you.
So cute.
Cole went still, his eyes widened in surprise. It was definitely a lot for him to hear, but you couldn't help yourself. It was the truth. You adored him. And now you're both flirting with each other. He placed his hand on his lap and looked down. It didn't seem he had expected to get this far, and he didn't know where to go from there. But that topic abruptly drove off. Cove officially had nothing more to say on it. The parents had all arrived soon after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding some space to sit down to rest their legs. Elizabeth, having heard the commotion, came out of the room for the first time since arriving and joined all of you. You spent the evening chatting and playing few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within a blink of an eye. As the group hunkered down for the night, your mom did a final round to make sure nothing had been left behind. She claimed that Cliff would start driving early in the morning, and like on the first day, but he would let everyone else in the group sleep, and there'd no need for them all to get up. Now at the time for you to check hadn't left anything outside. You, as well as everyone else, were confident that you had packed up inside an RV, which meant it was time to get some rest before the journey home tomorrow. Your mom and Elizabeth said goodnight, heading to the back room while you climbed up to the loft. Cove and his family got situated in the previous set arrangement. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. It was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you'd be back in your own bed at home.
You enjoyed this mini adventure. You thought the trip had been okay. You felt the trip was a waste of time. You hadn't had a good time. You enjoyed the mini adventure.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was short, that was for sure, but you got to see and do so much during your time here.
Yeah, you got to flirt with Cove.
Yeah. Fun. Okay. All in, it was a nice break from home. The minutes trickled by silently, and it didn't take long for the soft doors of Cliff and Kyra to drift off upon you. They were asleep now. And you wondered if Cliff was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Looking down the hall, you noticed Cove laying on his back, his eyes staring straight up at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. You must have felt you watching him because suddenly his eyes locked on yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you can make out the crooked smile on his face still well enough.
You waved at him.
That it?
Yeah.
God, really?
I'm being straightforward now. Wave at him. You grinned back at him. You made a silly face. You waved at him there.
I would wave at him. I would wave,
Yeah,
or
same.
at least either wave at him or grin at him.
Wave at him.
While waving. Cole waved back, still smiling at you through the dim light.
You gestured for him to come over.
Oh my god. Well, yeah.
You then
same.
went back to trying to sleep. You then decided to have. No, yeah, we're just asking him to come over.
Alright. Cole looked unsure about it, but you were happy to see him slowly start to sit up anyway. He's sleeping out restless as he moved, though he tried to go slow and froze up like a deer in headlights every time he made a
Aw.
sound, watching his parents for any sign of movement.
Adorable.
Eventually, he managed to maneuver around the sleeping bag. His dad made it to the ladder. He was standing on the bottom rung where he looked up at you and whispered. He opened his mouth to speak before shutting closed for another second. Is that my shirt?
Uh-huh. I used it a lot.
Well, okay, thanks.
For what?
It's nice.
I don't know, for liking it, I guess. He was so sweet. You were feeling very glad you two had brought it. Then Cole shook his head to refocus.
So,
Why did you call me?
Oh, it was nothing. Good night. Oh, how are you doing? You invited him up to the loft.
Yeah, we're inviting him up to the loft.
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to come up?
His eyes widened just so, and you could only tell he had come to where you were. Look, Cope glanced behind him, quickly at his sleeping parents before turning back to you. Okay. He broke out into a grin and stooched back as far as you could, making space for Cope to crawl in. He was very tall, so it wasn't a great fit for him, but he managed to squeeze himself in. Even if you weren't exactly tall, the loft was still tight squeezed with the two of you in there. You laid next to each other, ear on your sides, face to face. He got under the blanket a bit. One of his arms nestled under his head for comfort, and the other had nowhere to go, and you rested alongside his chest on the floor to the loft. Cope spoke to you softly. So, where am I doing here?
I don't know. I thought we could hang out. You can sleep here instead of the floor. The floor.
You can sleep
instead
here
of
instead of the floor. Yep.
Yeah.
Cope raised his eyebrows, not expecting for you to bring that up now. I'm not sure about this. Cope swallowed loudly, and you noticed he wouldn't look you in the eyes anymore.
You're feeling the nervousness too. You felt comfortable being so close to him. His reaction makes you happy. I guess I would be happy.
I feel nervous, honestly. Is this close? Like, what
Yeah,
the
or I would feel comfortable to be close to him.
Randomize?
Yeah, let's do it. Number 3, right? Yes, 3.
Yep.
And then number 2.
2?
Yes.
Okay. It felt natural to have him near you. If feeling close like this only made it better. You thought back to it early in the evening when you and Cope had been talking alone on the sofa. He'd definitely been flirting then, and now you were here.
You laid there silently. You tried to ease things with conversation. You nudged closer to him. You touched his free arm lightly. Nudge closer to him.
Yep, we're nudging closer to him. You inch towards Cope slowly, and your legs pressing together in the very limited space. Cope's face flustered or dark enough to notice that even in the most pitch black of the RV cabin, the hand resting in front of him tightened and the ball into a ball fist.
You okay?
Yeah.
I'm fine. I mean, I'm not dying or anything. Cope's eyes bent up nervously, but his smile widened. He followed your lead and curled up deeper into the loft and closer to you. He looked away as he did. There was almost no space between he and you. Cope's breath tickled the side of your face for a moment, and you stayed together like that. Neither of you spoke a word. When your eyes locked again, Cope seemed to almost taken aback by the situation, as though it hadn't completely hit him what was going to feel like until just now. He opened his mouth to say something, but shut it tight before anything came out.
You went to sleep how you were. You moved back again. You snuggled against him. You leaned in to kiss him. Last one.
No.
Let's do it.
I don't know.
Let's do it.
Just leave him alone.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Oh
Kiss
my
him.
god.
Yes. Kiss.
No, I don't know, man. I'm just
Kiss.
like, I just want
Kiss.
to hold something.
Kiss.
No, I want to
Kiss,
hold
kiss.
something.
I mean, we did a freaking uncomfortable thing last episode. Let's do it. Let's make it even worse.
Oh,
Kiss.
God. Fine. You moved in closer, eyes half closed as your lips inched towards his so slowly. Cope froze immediately. You could feel his body trembling against you as you neared. You grew closer enough by one motion away from placing your lips together. Then all at once he bolted upright, completely forgetting the restrictions of the location and smacking his head against the roof of the RV with a loud crack, making you gasp out loud. Ow!
Oh, are you okay?
Who didn't answer, he fell back into the loft floor in a flustered pile. He pressed one hand against his head and the other over his face as he groaned in pain. The sound of movement in the RV below started below you, and when you looked over the side, you noticed Cliff had suddenly shot up and was looking around wildly.
What's wrong?
Wake up, people! Something happened.
Cliff reached over to where Kyra was on the couch and she winced and shook her head out of her deep sleep. Enough to be interrupted by the chaos. What's going on? And then the lights came on and you scrambled under the blanket to avoid being seen, but it was too late.
What?
Cove, where are you? Sheena, are you? Oh. It only took for a second for Kyra to figure out where her son had gone, and you soon heard Cliff's chuckles as he too realized.
Oh, you were warned there wasn't much room up there, bud.
Cove groaned terribly again, but this time it was a lot of humiliation. He moved the hand from his sore scalp as he covered his shame rather than face his parents.
Hey!
What's all this noise up there? To your horror, the door at the back of the RV opened, and Elizabeth, as well as your moms, peeked over their heads into the hall. Is everything okay?
Sorry.
It's nothing. Sorry for waking you up. Cove curled into himself, quickly humiliated as he apologized a couple more times. Not loud enough for anyone other than you to hear, though.
You laughed? You just tried to check on him. Yeah, you just tried to check on him. Hey, how's your head?
Another whimper, he pushed himself onto his side. I should probably get Mom to look at it. Kyra came back over to the edge of the loft and she patted her son on the back. Come to Mama, baby. You can't stay there. There's no pulling it off. Cove climbed down the ladder and his face still red as a potato when he reached the bottom. His dad gave him a nudge on the shoulder as he passed, trying to hold back renewed laughter, and his mom pulled him over to give him his head a quick look over. After knowing it wasn't anything serious than a bump, Cove shuffled over to his sleeping bag on the ground and he collapsed into it, not caring if he should be more cautious with his head right now.
Sure.
Alright, show's over. Let's all get some sleep.
You can hear snickers from the back of the RV from your moms and Elizabeth. They really had been watching this unfold like it's a piece of entertainment. But at that, they quickly said goodnight and headed to bed. With nothing more you could do, you lay back down as the lights went off again. You stayed completely still until sleep finally overtook you. When you woke up the next morning, it was a rumble of the RV as it traveled the long journey home. Blinking receipt from your eyes, you peer at the edge of the loft slowly, trying not to be seen. Kel was sitting on the couch with his mom, the two of them talking quietly together, his head hung low. You blushed when you remembered what it was like last night, and just the two of you, and in the loft together the way you almost kissed. Kyra suddenly looked up and caught your eye, and your face grew even hotter, even though she simply smiled at you. You knew it was gonna be a long time before either of you lived this down, if you ever did. Soon your moms and Elizabeth emerged from their room, dressed and ready for the day of travel. You spent most of the days hanging out together in the RV, savoring the last few hours of vacation. Kyra suggests a few travel games she used to play with Cove when he was younger, and you all had a great time competing against each other. A little later in the day, you tried to talk to Cove about what happened in the loft, but simply apologized and changed the subject. It was a bit too much for him to try speaking on, especially right now you understood. When the RV finally pulled onto your street, it was well into the night and you were looking forward to crawling into your own bed after a few days away. Everyone else must have been feeling the same because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV should wait until morning. Once home again, you went straight up to your room and dropped onto your bed, shoes and all.
You were happy to be in your own bed. It felt weird to be alone. It felt good to be alone. You wish you were still on the trip. You missed being near Cove.
Miss being near Cove. It seems you had basically been living together for 3 days. It was nice. But you knew it wouldn't be the last time the two of you would spend time together, and the thought comforted you. With those few nights drifting through your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow, life would go on like normal. And that is it.
Yay!
Yay! We are done all the moments of step 2, and we'll be ready to move on to step 3 soon.
Yes.
So yeah, this was a fun moment, especially the last
It's really
bit.
cute.
Um,
It's adorable.
yeah. Yeah. Anyways, we thank you guys for watching, and please help support GB Patch on by getting the game, buying the DLC, and supporting her on Patreon. And be sure to like and subscribe. Okay? And again, we'll see you next time. Bye.